Welcome to another episode of Victoria's Lounge from the Radisson Blu Hotel. Today we're doing another topic mashup. So we're talking about deal breakers in relationships and friendships and defining that gray area. You probably know what we're talking about, and why don't people want to define it? Well, let's get into the conversation and let's meet my guests now. Mwalimu Rachel is a radio and TV presenter, MC, voiceover artist, and influencer. She is passionate about social change in our communities and most of all empowering young people with the right tools to impact a better future. Tabitha Tongoi runs Craving Yellow, a lifestyle blog about all things natural hair care and beauty. She uses her platform to inspire over 150,000 of her readers and subscribers to love themselves and in turn create a life they love. Apart from blogging, Tabitha is passionate about education policy. Hashtag Victoria's Lounge is how you can chime into the conversation on social media. As always, I have some two beautiful women with me. We're going to go through this whole topic mashup. Now, the other day, I read an article, I was so shocked. Burundi is forcing unmarried couples who are living together to get married. And this is, according to the president, Nkurunziza, to moralize the society.
Right.
So I thought, okay, interesting. This is the same guy who went for a third term, you know, went against the constitution, and you want to moralize society. So I thought this is very interesting. What do you ladies make of this? Because it's almost like a forced thing. If they don't, by the end of the year, they're facing legal consequences.
Wow.
Okay.
That's
Rachel, I'll start with you.
that's very interesting. First of all, Burundi is not exactly the most top-placed country in Africa.
Right.
It's one of the poorest countries, you know, facing a lot of challenges,
Right.
from civil issues,
Right.
you know, wars and everything. And I think his focus should actually start with that, you know, developing the country so that with the stability that comes with it, development will, you know, arise, and people will now be able to earn more and maybe even have the money to wed, you know, because it is an expensive, you know,
it's an expensive affair.
From bride price, and if it's a church wedding, well, there's that expense as well.
Right.
And how about they just, you know, go the Kenyan way? Right now, what we're doing is, if you're living with someone for 6 months, you're considered married.
Yeah.
So that could also be a way of it, you know, not really forcing, but making sure the legality of it all is
formalizing in a different way.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you're right, because money is really an issue, because there's a farmer who they spoke to, and he said, the reason I can't is because I can't afford the bride price.
There you go.
Too expensive.
There
you know.
go.
But Tabitha, what do you make of that?
I think you should call a speed because I have a background in political science, and I know that every politician, at the end of the day, the interest is to know where the numbers lie. So I think this would be this is an exercise in trying to assess his population, because then you can tell where the voter base is. Obviously, because people of a married age are certain, you know, whether it's 18 years and above. And I think he should call a spade and have people, you know, he's doing this for voting lines, trying to see how the demography plays together, where's the highest birth rate, what areas of the country are growing the fastest. So I think saying moralize is a wrong thing. I think he should say he's trying to order the country.
He's trying to do a census.
Because when people register, then he'll see where the numbers are. He'll see what the age group is, how many children are there.
The population is growing too fast. That's an excuse.
Please, whether you're married legally or not will not give you a clear picture or try to control the population. You know, it doesn't work.
That's very obscure. That doesn't have any meaning, because your morals, what is morality to you is not necessarily morality to me. It's a very ambiguous term.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's quite harsh for the population.
So what do you think it's going to mean for people down the line now, if you're forced to get married to someone? He said also, I want to kind of deal with the whole issue of older men taking advantage of young women, impregnating them. So, I mean, I kind of get and see where he's coming from, but there's ways of getting around such issues. You know, when you say you want to moralize, it's kind of like,
that's forcing then, you know, what you perceive to be moral on other people. Like Tabitha said, your morality is not the same as mine. Right. So that's a very interesting a crazy way of looking at it. That's crazy. Okay, ladies.
Yeah. I think also down the line for the young girls, say for example, who are impregnated by older men, there's a lot of stigma going to be associated with that, because if I'm pregnant and the father is a 70-year-old man, does that mean I'm immoral? Maybe the child is a child of rape. There are many issues that become just merged into one moral term that leaves the victims of the situation being the ones who are helpless and vulnerable. So I think the language around it should change, and I think if the language around it changes, then there can be more support, even if it's from other international agencies or whatever, around the topic of young women getting pregnant before the age of 18, child pregnancy. I think when you open up the language, you open up the space for lots of different people with different strengths, whether not even in international as in abroad like the West, but even surrounding countries to come into the conversation and say, okay, we'll give aid in this way, or different groups to stand in the gap where the government can't fill in and support,
and that
to come in.
And that again goes back to the root cause of why these young girls are getting pregnant at such an early age. Why they're not in school. Are there no opportunities for them to just start something for themselves, a small business, even if you've dropped out of school? So those issues are, in my opinion, that need to be tackled first before you go to the morality side of it.
He didn't think this through. It's far too simplistic.
He did not.
A solution to deal with.
My friend.
And I think it takes the responsibility off of him. And says, you moralize, but me, I'm just chilling
me, I'm okay.
Here. Me, I'm okay. No.
You guys get yourselves together down there. Moving on, I got onto another article about women who speak out or too vocal. A lot of times the notion is she don't have a man in her life, right? And so basically what the article was saying is, no, I don't need a man, I just need to be heard. This is now the woman who's very vocal. She happens to be single. And so does it kind of forward that whole thing of a man mellows out a woman? Or to get her kind of toned down, get her a man? I mean, what do you make of such notions when we hear that in society, or when you get into an argument with a man, he's like, are you
exactly
exactly
yes, exactly. Do you have a man in your life? Are you seeing someone right now? I can see why. In fact, that's what they say. I can see why you don't have a man. It's really disappointing. First of all, a man is supposed to be a complement in your life, and vice versa. A man's supposed to complement the woman, and the woman's supposed to complement the man. So if you found me, and I will say very vocal and a very opinionated woman, you should actually be championing that, so that you give me more confidence in many matters. Could be in our personal life, could be in employment. Basically encourage that woman to continue being strong, because again, as the homemaker or the future homemaker, you want her to stand in the gap should you not be there. So you don't want someone who's weak, who can't make even decisions in the home, whether it's financial decisions or where's our child going to school and things like that. You want a woman to participate. That voice is very important in the home. If that lacks, well, then there's an imbalance. And that's why sometimes the bad men, quote unquote, take advantage of a woman who's too subdued and just runs the home as he wishes and runs the lives.
So they kind of gravitate to women who they feel would be more submissive, if you will. Which, I mean, sometimes people can argue, in a marriage, it's supposed to be that way. That's the structure. The man is the head. The woman now is supposed to submit to his leadership, if you will, which is fine. But I think in the context of maybe if you're dating, what do you do in that kind of case where it's like, I still want to hold on to my opinion. I still want to be able to express myself. But then the moment a man comes into the picture, should I now be beholden to what you think I should be or behave like,
I think, it's funny because we always talk about strong women, but I don't think we're as vocal about weak men as well. Because there are weak men who cannot handle even that submissive woman because of their own character traits, So I think when we talk about strong women, there's nothing about a strong woman that says she's incomplete or she's trying to, get some guy to, she's trying to put herself there on the market. There's nothing to do with that. A woman is complete in herself, and I think it's about time that we came to that realization. As strong and vocal woman, I'm a strong and vocal woman, but that doesn't mean that, I don't have space for a man in my life. It just means that I understand that I'm complete in myself, and it's a complementary relationship. And I think if a man understands that he's complete in himself, knows the power of it, whether he's a quiet man doesn't mean he's not a strong man.
True,
very true.
true.
He can
be
be very soft-spoken, but a man of character, very grounded.
Yes. He can lead.
He can lead, and he can make you feel
True.
secure, even though he says 2 words and you've spoken the whole evening. I think I'm guilty of that. But I think there needs to be some nuances there, and it's not about how he's reacting. I don't think a woman should ever make a decision based on what she thinks a man will think of the situation. A good man, a strong man, will see the strength you bring to the table, and he will be so attracted to that.
Very
and you're not
true.
going to have to compromise. So I think even as strong women, don't settle. I think there are men out there, many I've seen in my personal life, who stand up and support strong women. So
and in the same breath, again, whenever there's a conversation and then someone mentions a strong woman, what's the first picture they get? Someone who's loud, someone who's rude, a woman who's very, aggressive, but that's not the case. When a woman is strong, again, you don't have to be loud to be assertive.
That's true.
And your confidence will ooze even when you don't say much. So men also need to understand that with us, don't always assume that just because I am opinionated, then it equals loud, rude, and all these other things that are sort of put together with the picture of a strong woman. And in this day and age that we live in, I mean, we're more empowered through many areas, through technology, through even the way we dress now, and the information that builds us in entrepreneurship as women as well. So that should actually make a man feel that, you know what, this is someone I can also depend on in matters regarding entrepreneurship or anything like that.
Absolutely.
And in a conversation, even when I'm with my peers, she's not going to be silent. I mean, there's nothing as odd as that. Where you hanging
You're going
out
about
with
you,
your
and then
friends,
everyone's like,
someone just seated there, doesn't really know what's happening. You feel embarrassed. You should be proud that a woman can actually
Engage.
to the conversation and say that this is what I read and this is what I'm going through, etc. etc. So they should be proud.
No, absolutely. And it kind of brings up the whole thing of in a relationship, you should be compatible and you're complementing each other, like you said. You're a team.
You're a team.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
All right, on that note, let's take a short break here in Victoria's Lounge. When we come back, we'll be talking about the gray area when it comes to relationships. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. The conversation is still continuing. It still did even during the break.
Oh,
So
yes.
I love these ladies. So let's talk about the gray area. We always hear this term come up when we talk about relationships, the undefined space.
Yes.
Why do people not want to kind of put a label on what's going on with their relationship? And a lot of times, sorry guys, it's the men.
Tell it louder. Shout it louder, please.
So the lady's like, okay, so what's going on? We've been going on dates, seeing each other the last couple of months. You probably met each other's families, but you're not putting a name to it. Why are we going through this? What is the gray? Let's talk about the gray area first.
Maybe you take
Should
this
I
one.
just take this one? This one is a
Let's
tough
start.
one.
You seem fired up already.
This one is a tough one. But I think it's, first of all, I think it's an age group thing.
Okay.
I think it depends on I dare say in my imagination, it would be the age group between 26 and 34. Where marriage looks like it's round the corner, and there's a lot of pressure. Your aunts are here saying, "Hey, Tabitha, where is this guy?" And young men also being told, "Hey, it's about time, you got us a wife." So I think because of that social pressure, people are a bit more careful about the decisions that they're trying to make, because they know that the minute it's a yes and we're dating, and then that means we're getting married. And I think a lot more people are, or at that age, you're a bit more critical of who you want to walk down that path with. So I would see that, in my opinion, you know, it's not a space that I think is a good area to be in necessarily for a long time, but I can understand where people are coming from, wanting to make more of a logical and a conscious decision about walking down that space with someone. So not just meeting, we like each other, we've met in a club, we've met at church Bible study, and there's that chemistry, next week we're going out, but being like, wait, like who actually is this person? Where are they from? What did they study? Are we compatible? So the gray area lasts for like, you know, 6 months, 8 months. If it's more than that, I refuse. Please, I'm coming for you personally, and I'm taking you out.
Couldn't someone can make the excuse and say, oh, it's because I didn't know that, you know, we weren't compatible, so that's why. So you hadn't figured it out all this time?
Yeah.
Or were you just in denial? I mean,
ladies, Tabitha, and I hear you on what you're saying there, but if that was the case and people were, in this case, amazing men, were careful and they wanted to make sure this is the right person, then we would also be seeing the many cases of divorce all around us, right? So it really doesn't, the end doesn't justify
the means,
you know, that gray area. Because if really you want to take your time and okay, fine, we'll date for a year and then get married in another year or so, then you'd know that this is the one and you'd stay faithful and you would walk that walk with me throughout. But then some people take 2, 5, 6 years. By the time they settle down.
That's like a common law marriage.
You know? And then even after, maybe out of the pressure that you mentioned of, okay, can you guys get hitched already? Or if you go to Burundi, they just force you to get married.
If you're in Burundi, you're married.
Get married in Burundi.
Still after that.
To Burundi, by the way.
You go to Burundi.
The government first.
They'll, you know, stay in the marriage for a year, 2 years, and then break up. So I don't know why that is the case. I think it's also a fear of
if I say something, he'll leave or she'll leave.
Exactly.
You know, because you're kind of putting the pressure on the individual. They're like, what's the big deal? You know, we're just kind of enjoying each other's company. So you can kind of get that kind of fear. People don't want to be by themselves just in case you bring it up. But talking of now deal breakers, it's a perfect segue because that should be a deal breaker, by the way.
Oh yeah.
If you're not defining that space, you should now
and there should be a time limit.
There should be a time limit.
What is the longest
6 to 8 months?
6 to 8 months.
Max.
After dating,
I've taken my handbag and I've gone. Hi.
New queen.
I've gone. Don't waste my time.
What about you, Victoria?
I would say I don't have 6 to 8 months. That's almost a year. I would say a month to 3. A month to 3, especially if you're talking about that age bracket.
That's true.
Where
That's
it's like time is ticking, you know, you want to settle down. And I don't want to now invest more emotions into this that I'm not sure where it's going.
That's true.
You know, so I'd say a month to 3 months. I don't know about you.
Because I'm not saying we're getting married after 3 months.
No,
this is
of course not. Of course not.
We're exclusive.
Yes.
This is how we see us, you know, in future, and we're laying down plans or whatever. So I'd say if I stretch it, 5 months. If I'm stretching it.
It's 5.
If you're really tolerant,
you're really shy and you're really scared. I can push it to 5 months. But ideally 3 months. Allow to put a stamp on it to move on.
All right, let's turn this around on us because there's no men with us. But I was reading this article about deal breakers for men. It was quite hilarious. But let me just go through a couple of them. So, 1, your woman listens to her friends too much. Women don't listen. That's the flip side. They make men feel like their opinion doesn't matter.
Right.
3rd is relationship is not a family affair. It's a relationship, not a kidnapping.
WhatsApp group.
WhatsApp group. Yeah, because you have quite a big family, Tabitha.
204 members of a WhatsApp group.
I mean, do you find sometimes, like, you know, women, we are attached to our families, we're closer. And sometimes the guy is like, come on. Like, really? You know, and you feel like, is he taking you away from that structure and, you know, that camaraderie you have with your family, brothers, sisters, whoever? And at times they feel, okay, come on, let's have our time. This is not me trying to take you away from your family, you know. I don't know what you think of that.
Let me tell you something. Victoria, there's some people that are crazy out here. And I'm with the man on this one. Because I have witnessed a lady who's just too attached also to family. That everything you discuss with you and your man, you include your mother. You call her up and say, this is what we did and this is what he said to me. What should I do now? You know? a strong woman, as we
Yeah.
talked about,
Yeah.
and have your own opinion
Yeah.
and stand by it and
Yeah.
have that discussion with your man.
Exactly.
You don't need to involve even your sisters.
Yeah, that's true.
During
Yeah.
those times that you're having your nice little times together
Yeah.
with your siblings and everything, mention that this is where we're at, maybe challenge we're facing as a home. Kidogo, things
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
too
Not
much.
too much.
Because again, ain't nobody got time for that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
We don't need that. We also
Yeah.
don't need hearing your issues.
And that's true, because you think about, say if you get into an argument and then now you go run to your sis, your mom, and tell them, hey, he did this.
Exactly.
You can only imagine, and you'll patch things up with him, but they won't forgive him.
Yeah.
Yep,
It
that's
creates
true.
baggage.
That's
they won't.
true.
Yeah.
That's
So you have
true.
to kind of think about, all right, there's some things, especially in a marriage. I think a relationship is a bit different, but in a marriage, you have to protect that space.
Exactly. There needs to be
You
some
know?
privacy.
Right.
It's between the two of you.
Right.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
respect.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
I think
Respect.
Exactly. I think two things. Number one, I think it goes both ways, because I've seen situations in which men drag you into that family WhatsApp group as well. So I don't think it's gendered. I've
It's not
seen
gendered,
these issues are not gendered.
Okay.
So I'd tell the men, hold your horses, okay? Hold your horses, because
put you in the
we can
family WhatsApp
also,
group.
let me tell you, I've seen
Awkward.
such situations in which everything is discussed with, the parental
Okay.
and so there's also those other levels, the other side of the coin, which I think if we look at these type of situations, we also have to bring that into the conversation. But in regards to the friends situation, her telling her friends everything and depending on her friends, I think there's importance in having your friends be able to speak into your relationship. But because sometimes they see things that you don't see, or sometimes they can talk sense into you and say, do this, or handle it in this way.
Right.
So I think no relationship is an island, and you need the wisdom of your friends, not the moshene of your friends, but the wisdom.
And
So I think
also,
there
what
needs to be
kind
that
of
filter
friends? It
and
needs to be
what kind
friends
of
who are also either in a marriage or
Yes,
in a relationship.
exactly.
Don't go seeking marriage advice from your single girlfriend.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's
That's
not
true.
really
It's
the
not gonna
wisest
work.
thing to
Yeah.
do,
No,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Another one which is really hilarious, because I hear this all the time. Miss Independent. You're too independent, so much so that you won't let him open up the door. Be a gentleman. Be a man.
Change the light bulb.
Yeah.
Now we know how it's done.
Because it's like you women.
I
have to
watch
change the tire.
YouTube tutorials. I know.
Yeah, and we're just talking about that now, the vocal woman. And so the men are feeling like, come on.
Yeah.
Can I be the man in the relationship,
Listen, stroke the ego.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Do it.
I think so.
For the peace of the relationship,
Yeah.
just so he can be that alpha male and feel that I've got
Yes.
this, I've
They
got
want to
my
conquer.
woman.
Yes, yes.
Let him do some of those stuff. You can do it. At the back of your head, you know very well you can do it for yourself.
Yeah.
And this is exactly how our mothers used to be as well.
Yeah.
It's not that they didn't know how to get things done.
Yeah.
They just knew, you know what, let him think
Let
that
him
he
do
knows
it.
more than I
Yes,
do.
Exactly.
Yes.
But should need arise, I'll step up to the plate and I'll do it myself. So,
Good point.
And I
Good
think
point.
we like being taken care of.
Yeah.
However strong and independent you are,
True.
we love to nurture as women, but I feel like you want that safety, you want that protection. You want to know that if your car tire is flat, you call him and he'll come and help you.
In tears.
We like that. I like that. Let me speak for myself. I like to be a damsel in distress sometimes.
Let him.
Yeah,
It's part of being a woman and being feminine. You can't be there climbing ladders all the time. Yeah, let him do that.
Great point. On that note, let's take a short break. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. Keep the conversation going on social media, #Victoria's Lounge. We want to hear from you. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. So earlier in the show, we've been focusing a lot on relationships, male, female. Let's talk about friendships. All right, and this can cross on male and female, but a lot with our girlfriends, right? So we're going to play a little game, yay or nay, and we'll talk about some friendship deal breakers, whether you'll forgive or just let it go. Okay, so the first one is betrayal.
Where's my card?
Do you forgive
What
or
kind
do
of
you
betrayal?
let it go?
Is this where we...
This is where you show yay or nay.
Okay. Betrayal.
Yeah, so if you forgive, it's a yay. If you don't, of course,
What
it's a
kind
nay.
of betrayal? Betrayal is such
It
a
is.
wide
It doesn't yay for money.
Okay, no, that's
It
no.
does not
Actually,
matter.
who am I kidding? Nay.
That's a
Even
nay.
if you steal my outfit, that is betrayal. Be gone.
So whichever degree of betrayal, it's like, is there anything that is possibly forgivable, possibly in a betrayal case?
No, loyalty.
Yeah.
Loyalty is
The trust
so
has been broken.
important.
Yeah.
And without that, then you're not my friend. You're just an acquaintance. It's like sometimes you can talk, sometimes you may not talk. So and loyalty is rewarded. That's why you always go to them whenever they need you. So for me, it's number one.
Okay.
I think if it's unintentional. So if
How is betrayal unintentional?
in the event that
They didn't know
for
that.
example,
Okay.
they met a guy used to date Kitambo, you know, and they didn't know you guys used to date somehow. Like it was like one of
that
those
doesn't
quiet,
betrayal. That's
but
fine.
you know there was some unforgiven issues there. They just come, oh my gosh, I'm dating this guy, and
Yeah.
you're like, what? And you think she
knew, okay.
but she didn't know. And she's like, I actually didn't know, and I'm really sorry, but we're in a good space with this guy. I want to proceed with the relationship.
Okay.
Then I'd be like, okay, I understand, but it definitely changes the dynamic of
Yes,
the relationship,
absolutely.
of the
Absolutely.
friendship.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Next one. Flirts with your partner or spouse.
Yeah.
Can it be any bigger than this? Can I stick this on my forehead?
Oh, gosh.
You
Absolutely
disappear, go.
No, 9. Yeah, all of the apana, you can't. That can't
No.
happen.
No.
Okay. And has that ever happened? How does someone deal with that? Can you imagine if you're out with friends, you know, at a restaurant, everyone's together, then you just happen to see this? What would you do? What is the reaction?
Listen, there are those girlfriends that we know. Okay, once they start a little drinky drink, they get a little bit flirtatious, a little bit touchy and handsy.
Yeah.
Like, those are the ones you come and sit in between. Once you start seeing the signs, because you know that girl, you know her, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the point where you even start telling her, drink some more water or something. So I would say if this is a character trait of this person, I would be like, okay, you already know where I stand. Of course, I will already have had that conversation with you. If you think that, or if you persist, then I'll see it as just disrespect. The first time I see it, second time, maybe I won't really, but after that, after we had the conversation, don't stop.
Yeah.
And also, you also need to understand that as much as I'm there with my man and we're having a good time, we're all having our drinks and everything, it doesn't give you the right to overstep.
The boundary.
You know,
Yes.
does not give you the right to be too handsy. The first hug is enough.
My friend, more
when
than
you're
that.
greeting,
Even get to the hug.
Handshake. I'm as a hewa. You know
za kanisa, salimiane hewani please. You know, and that's where you draw the line. But that also needs to be communicated, because
the
again,
husband as well.
yes, and even with our girls, you know, when we need to have those conversations of what is okay, what's not okay. And sometimes we assume that they know, but really maybe where they come from, a hug is very much kawaida.
Exactly.
You know, so have the conversation also.
Yeah.
So
I
go ahead.
There are other levels as well to this. Entering mine and my husband's space, say I was married, is also emotional dependency, because I've had a situation where let me not mention names, but let me say I've had a situation in which somebody was going through something with her in her relationship, and she decided to call the partner of this person and be talking every day. So this has happened. This is the update. This is what I'm going through. I need your support. And I'm like, no. Emotional it's okay for me to, once, tell me what you're going through. I'll give you my advice. But every day with an update. My friend, for 3 months, emotional dependency is a no-no. So I think, let alone even this flirty, touching, and even emotional dependency, there needs to be a line.
It's a nay.
It's a nay, girl. It's a nay.
So you lay those ground rules, so at least you don't get into that territory of having to be like,
exactly,
back off.
Have that conversation.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This one is funny enough, something that is a deal breaker for men. But I wonder for ladies, because you know how we borrow each other's things? Yeah. Borrow but doesn't return. Clothing item or money? Nay.
No. It's okay.
That's forgivable.
Yeah, it's forgivable.
Okay, why?
Yeah, because sometimes, say I have my best friend and I have been best friends for 18 years. I have so many of her things in my house, and likewise. So sometimes it's yakusahau. We just forgot. Or I'm like, I've worn her coat up until it's become mine.
Right.
and we're fine with that.
Yeah.
So the level of friendship, and
Okay.
also like we go for lunch. Let's say I'll pay for lunch this time.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
keep tab of
Yeah.
who has spent more money on the other person,
Okay.
because
Okay.
the friendship is
Yeah,
on that
that's fine.
level.
Yes.
But
sense.
I don't even have a friend who, if you just take my things, go with it, let them bless your life. By the way, if it's your value system not to
Bless your
return,
life.
it's okay. The friendship will naturally die out because of other reasons. This
Yeah.
will just be a signal.
Okay.
That's true. I think the
Okay.
timing is very important. Like, how long have we been friends?
Okay.
Is it a
Yeah.
new friendship?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that already
okay.
says, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you're
Yes.
feeling too familiar with my stuff. 18 years, 10
Yeah.
years, then you're
That's
like
different.
a sister to
Yeah,
me. You know,
yeah.
you can keep my stuff, I'll keep yours.
Yeah.
We won't even have an issue.
Yeah.
But if we've just started and it's like a year into the friendship and you come into my room and you take my stuff and you don't return or bother
Yes.
to even say, "Ina baki nayo."
Yeah, exactly. I can't even say that.
I just said that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
let me prepare psychologically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's a
you
good
have to
point.
watch.
So just
Yeah.
like depending on the timing, how long you've known each other.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, what if you get to the point of it's a broken friendship? Rules of engagement post a friendship breakup. Okay. So first, communication with exes. Now, this is if you break up, sorry, not the friend, but with your boyfriend. Communication with your ex, yay or nay? Do you still, okay, nay. Do you
Who's
still communicate?
communicating here? Me?
This is you.
I could.
No.
You're
don't.
okay with communicating with your ex?
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends though.
About
How-
what
how
are we
was
talking
the
about?
breakup?
What are we
It
talking
depends.
about?
How do we break up?
Yes.
Okay.
And our circles. I'll give you a very good
Okay.
example.
Okay, fair
Okay.
enough.
What does this person do? Maybe he's a banker somewhere and you need some banking advice. Or, you know, professional.
Professional.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, somewhere where
Okay.
your circles are kind of, they meet at some point,
Yes,
you know?
okay.
I have a friend
Okay.
of mine who is still friends with the ex, and she was telling me that, yeah, we do business together, we invest together.
Invest with your ex.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Well,
Because you're money minded. Do you think the men care if it's an
actually, he
ex or
doesn't.
not?
He doesn't.
If the men don't care, your focus is the end goal. It's to
Okay,
get the
fair
money in
enough.
the bank, honey.
Okay.
It's to make sure that your investment grows, to make sure that, you know, the business scales and everything.
Is that the only person you can invest with?
Power to her, but I
Not
wouldn't
the
do it.
only person,
Because
but
there are many bankers you can take
Is
banking
in that-
advice
is
from.
in that
It
space
just
at that
blurs the
point in
line.
time.
It blurs the
blurs the
line.
lines.
And one person is still having emotions. Unfortunately, it's tricky. I would say if you don't have to, unless you have a child. Say, for example, you have a child, obviously you have to speak to your ex.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
say, you know, assets are still, shared and you're trying to break the, you can talk. But I think generally it really blurs the space and also
Yeah.
prevents you from moving on. And also in the case that you're in a relationship with somebody else, they can take slight offense to the fact that you're still highly engaging your ex. It just makes it weird for everyone involved. So
Yeah.
in a new relationship, you're still investing with your ex. My partner will be like, and me? Like, we are doing investing together. It just becomes
Actually, yeah, because that'd be really awkward
weird.
with her, significant other. How would they
Yeah.
kind of deal with that? I don't know.
have an open channel of communication and make sure that both partners know that
real
this
trust.
is professional.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's also maturity.
It's also maturity.
It's a lot of maturity in
Yeah.
place. I mean, if a man is insecure, even if you're investing with a stranger, he's still
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to be insecure. Even
Okay.
if it's, in
Fair
this
enough.
case, an ex. So
Yeah.
it needs to be that level of, is this man secure? And he knows that
Yeah, yeah.
you're just being a businesswoman, business-minded, and you're doing this for the sake of whatever venture.
Speaking of money and exes, would you loan money to an ex?
Hey, my friend, there are banks for that. Does this look like Bank of Tabitha? No. Hey, my friend. Hey, I have use for my money. And
That
I
is a
have
big
to
name.
present. No.
that is a nay.
That's a name.
Hey, no.
Okay. I mean, because we've heard of cases where we've heard of one investing and a woman's like, I think sometimes in a case, and I heard about this, where the ex was someone who you were best friends with before you started dating. You dated for a couple months and realized, it's not working, broke up. But still keep in touch and you're really good friends to where it's almost like family. So you're loaning to that ex. Is that acceptable?
No. Break ties.
Break ties, clean break.
Clean break.
Yeah.
Okay.
It saves you as well. It saves you, I think, just the hassle.
Yeah,
Emotionally. Because I think as women, let me speak for myself. I'm always emotionally engaged. There's no way I cannot be those chicks who just date a guy just because he looks nice and I want the money. My heart is always
there's something
in it.
there.
There's something. So I'd find it hard to have a conversation with this person, you know, and just the drama. I mean, I like a simple life. I mean, how many men are there on this planet? I mean, keep your life simple. Keep it simple and straightforward.
Okay, let's get to now friends when it comes to a friendship breaking. The non-disclosure rule. There's a lot that goes on in the friendship where secrets are shared, things are said, and then now the friendship breaks up. Does it apply still? She has a lot of dirt on you. And she could.
Keep her mouth shut.
Lascivia.
Hey, I know where
She
you live.
I'll come for you.
No, seriously, I mean, whatever was said in confidence as my girlfriend, let it stay as such, you know, for the sake of peace. You know, I mean, let someone know that no matter what, at least you'll hold that to yourself, and it won't get back to now hurt me later. You know, I mean, just for the sake of the many years that we were friends or whatever we shared in the past, because that's also like a relationship. Just respect that.
Okay. Yeah. So it's supposed to like, okay, the friendship is over. Respect me as the individual.
Exactly, and my feelings and everything.
Okay. What do you make of that, Tabitha?
I think that's how it should be done, because I always look at it as, number one, this Nairobi and this world is too small.
Oh, yeah.
So even if we are not friends now, we'll find that our husbands, our sons, they don't go to the same school. We'll meet somewhere else down the road in church.
Yes.
So it's always better to remain cordial, and just, if it doesn't have to have drama, let it not have drama. And if by not having drama, that means you're keeping your mouth shut, that's the best thing. Because the more you talk about, I believe, the more you talk about people, the more you're also being talked about.
Oh yeah, it'll come back
So
to
it's
you.
coming back to you to stab you also. So, you know, I think just let bygones be bygones and move on. Focus on the now and the future.
Especially in this social media age, just cannot control things.
My
Flow
Lord.
of
And how
information.
people out each other on Facebook and Twitter.
It is the new blackmail central.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Ladies, thank you so much for coming.
Thank
That's
you.
all the time we have. This has been
A lot of
great.
fun.
I'm telling you.
Enjoyed
We have
myself.
to have you come back on again. Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for watching Victoria's Lounge. Thank you to the Radisson Blu Hotel for hosting us. Keep the conversation going on social media. We always love to hear from you. Have a lovely evening, and let's do this again next week. Good night.